Thanks to the FA Cup chaos this weekend, I've had to rip apart my transfer plans for Game Week 28, and in today's video, we're going to go through my new and updated transfer plans. Now, before we head into today's video, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 12,500 subscribers by the end of the season, and it is only possible with your guys' amazing support. So let's, of course, take a look at how the team got on, of course, in Game Week 27. Pretty okay-ish week. We still managed to come away with a green arrow, taking us from 13k all the way to 10k. I don't want to spend too long on this because obviously we did cover it in the last kind of edition of the transfer plans. Of course, though, things have changed in terms of the transfers, but not the points that we scored in Game Week 27. Overall, a good game week. Could have been a lot better, but I'll still take it. We got that captaincy decision right. We had some big players pull us through as well. A little bit of a shame Trent lost out on his bonus point. We would have been extremely close to breaking into the top 10k there, but overall we're at 10k. We're in a very, very decent position. Moving on to how my team would look if I was to make absolutely zero transfers. As you can see, there is only one flagged player in there so far. It is, of course, Lewis Hall, who did miss out on the FA Cup clash for Newcastle at the weekend. Looks like that one could be a little bit more of a longer term injury. I'm not going to make any transfers though for this week. We are just probably going to slap Hoyson in there, and that'll probably do us in terms of the transfers. We could maybe bring in 8 Nuri with a decent fixture for Wolves this week, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be worth doing that this week when we need as many transfers as possible heading into that blank game week for me. But as you can see, team's in a pretty decent position. You know, obviously Alexander Isak as well did go off. There's just kind of comments around maybe that was an injury, maybe it wasn't. We're going to have to wait and see from an update on how. If he's injured, it definitely kind of forces my hand a little bit more into maybe making a few transfers this week. But we could probably just bring on Rodgers, who's got an okay fixture. Hoyson could cover off Hall as well, but let's wait and see a little bit more further updates regarding Isak. But I think he'll be fine, to be honest. In terms of the transfers that I am looking at, of course, it is going to be in the striker department. Now, obviously, a lot of people as well are kind of looking for a Cunha replacement, a Mateta replacement. If Isak's out as well, we're probably going to be looking at a replacement for him. Obviously, I went through this in yesterday's video as well, the transfer, what was it? The transfer video? Yeah, the transfer video. Just discussing general transfers. We went through all the strikers, so I don't want to go into too much depth, but I thought I'd highlight the ones that I'm obviously looking at for the next few weeks. Obviously, I own Visser and Wood, and if I was in a position where I needed a Cunha replacement, didn't have too much money, it probably would be between those two for me. I do prefer Chris Wood's fixtures over the next 3 than Visser. I think Visser's fixtures in 29 and 30 are extremely difficult, especially with both of them being at home, and I think Game Week 29 represents a good potential captaincy option for Chris Wood with Ipswich and United as well, one of the worst defences for XG conceded this year. I think if you wanted to take maybe a punt on somebody down the bottom, you're probably either looking at Strand Larsen for the fixtures, not really the form, Evan Nielsen, but the minutes aren't quite there, or Beto, whose 28 and 29 fixtures definitely are there, has been in a little bit of a purple patch at the moment. His minutes are definitely secured. It's how long does that purple patch last, though, is the real question regarding him. But for me, the target probably is going to be Erling Haaland. I think he is going to be now the best captain in 29, of course, with all the injuries and suspensions, and in Game Week 30 as well. Salah has Everton at home, still a pretty decent fixture. We'll probably still be looking at Mohamed Salah, but when you get a chance to captain a player like Erling Haaland against one of the bottom 3 who have been absolutely abysmal this season in terms of their expected goals conceded numbers, I think we've got to take that opportunity. I think that is probably going to be the play. We're going to ditch Cole Palmer after this Leicester fixture. Then we're going to move to Erling Haaland. Of course, City might potentially have doubles in 33 and 36 as well. So here's a player that I do want to get in nice and early, because I do think, you know, when people start to see him put it in decent numbers, double game weeks coming up for City, that I think a lot more people will potentially be jumping on him. Now, we could argue that Marmoush could cover off Haaland, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Outside of his hat-trick that he scored, his goal involvements haven't, well, they've been non-existent, and his expected goal involvements, not really there. Not really there. As you can see, kind of the same level as Delap. It's not great. It isn't great, so I don't think Marmoush is going to be a player I'm going to recommend to you guys. I've seen he's quite heavily transferred in by a lot of people, but I think I would just be going for Haaland. I don't think Marmoush is going to cover off Haaland for me personally. He's not even seeing out full 90s, coming off in around the kind of 70-ish minute mark. Something else that I wanted to add in terms of Haaland and why I'm thinking about bringing him in as well, over this 3-week game week period, he is the highest projected forward in the game. I own the other two as well, in Wood and Visser. So again, there's more ammunition to the fire, more fuel to the fire as well, just to kind of, you know, keep the things burning on why we potentially should be looking at Erling Haaland. Obviously, there's a few other names that we didn't mention on that list, Raul, Vardy, but probably, again, not going to be in any sort of consideration for me. The big problem I am going to have is, of course, taking out Alexander Isak. Now, we've built a good amount of bank into Alexander Isak. We've got a lot of value in him, so it is going to be a little bit of a shame to lose out on that value when we are looking to bring him back in on our 31 wildcard. However, like I said, I think getting in on the ground early on Haaland, we could potentially make that money back. I think the captaincy for 29 and 30 is definitely in the air, and I definitely think he's one of those players that could go off big in the next few weeks, and I want to get in on the ground, and I think this is going to be the play. So let's go and see how it's going to plan over the next few weeks in FPL.team. So here we are over in FPL.team. As you can see, this is how the team is lining up for this week. We've benched Hall, we've put in Højsund. Like I said, I think the team is pretty good to go this week. Obviously, not an ideal fixture for Chris Wood, but he still could get himself a goal involvement. Maybe we play him ahead of Rodgers, but I think just purely for the penalty appeal. And, of course, Champions League coming up midweek for Aston Villa. I'm probably going to just go with Chris Wood. There's usually quite a bit of fatigue post-Champions League for Aston Villa. They've only managed to win one game post-Champions League this season. Moving into then, obviously, game week 29, blank game week 29. We're not going to be playing our free hit, but as you can see, we've made 4 transfers. 3 of them for free, nice, and 1 of them for a -4. As you can see, though, that is a really good team. Genuinely, a non-free hit team that I feel very, very good about. Of course, Haaland's going to be in there. He's probably going to be the captain for this week. I'm feeling very bullish on that one. We've dropped Cole Palmer down for Anthony Elanga, who's having an absolutely crazy season. Ipswich is a great fixture as well. We've obviously got Wood with Ipswich. The kind of Bournemouth and Brentford clash is a little bit frustrating, but at least we've got players on the pitch. Gvardiol's one of the best scoring defenders somehow this season, despite City being pretty poor. Also been quite, good in front of goal as well. He's still one of the top goal scoring defenders within the game. Aina away at Ipswich again, that triple Forest stack looking pretty decent. And I've gone for Gabriel. Arsenal's defensive numbers have been great across the board. I was looking at Aït-Nouri with that delicious victory against Southampton, and he still could be a really, really good option to go for. However, I just think looking at the 11FI data, looking at what Arsenal have got and what Arsenal have done so far this season in terms of those defensive numbers, I think they'll keep one against Chelsea in game week 29. And it would not surprise me to see them continue post that as well. And again, I feel like Gabriel's probably going to be one of those players that I do want to select on my wildcard. So maybe getting him in early, kind of catching any sort of price rises on him, is probably going to be the play going forward. Let's head in then into game week 30. Obviously, we're not going to wildcard in this week. We're probably going to wait till game week 31. So we've got all the FA Cup information regarding double game weeks and stuff like that, because we still might not hit that free hit button in game week, not free hit, wildcard button in game week 32. If, of course, the doubles aren't announced or there's not a good selection of doubles, we might potentially wait till game week 35, dead end the team into 33. Something like that is still a possibility that we could do. But as you can see here, this team is looking ridiculously strong. The bench as well, full of Nottingham Forest players. Maybe one of them does start ahead of Rodgers, but I don't know. Maybe Visser starts ahead of Wood as well. Probably something like that, but we can obviously play around when we get to game week 30. But again, this is a really strong team. Would require me no transfers. So it means when we do wildcard into 31, we then have obviously taken additional transfer into us when we come out of it in game week 32. So again, puts us in a really good position. I think this is probably going to be the play that we're going to go for. Of course, there is still some reserve kind of judgment at the moment, because I am kind of banking on there being enough doubles in 33 to make this kind of move for Haaland in game week 29 worth it. but I still think we're going to do it because of purely for captaincy appeal, like I said, in 29 and game week 30. That was, of course, my updated transfer targets video. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. Of course, if you've got any questions about your team as well, get them in the comments as we'll try to answer as many as we possibly can. But thank you for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 28.